back and start looking at the argument more carefully, because very likely you're just being manipulated.
I think the reason we do that is because we've accepted some fundamental untruths. One fundamental untruth that we've accepted is that homosexuality is just like heterosexuality, right? We equate them. We equate them because we've accepted the idea that people are born like that. We accept them because we've accepted the idea that people have an innate, immutable, unchangeable orientation, and that it's the same as a person having an innate, immutable ethnicity. It's the same thing. And once we've accepted those things, then it becomes difficult for us to do what Joel just did and what you just commended, which is to put it in the same category as other things that we continue to believe are abhorrent. And there has been a specific strategy to change the way that we think about this. There's a book that I've mentioned, a number of times over the years called After the Ball, How America Will Overcome Its Fear and Hatred of Gays in the Decade of the 90s. It was published in 1989. And if you get it today, it reads like a history book. And it was a strategy. Here's the strategy we need to employ. And there were three main parts of the strategy. One was desensitizing. Desensitizing was the idea of just getting images out there, right? Making people continue to make people see it. Continue to make people see it. If you continue to make people see it, they'll get desensitized to it. Okay, that was the first part of the strategy. Put it out there. Use the media, use education, use everything that we can to desensitize people. They're going to be offended at first, but again, desensitize them. By the way, one of the ways you desensitize them is that you don't show them the dark underbelly. So you hope they never go to a gay pride parade and see what actually happens there. You hope they just see the news report that just shows you glimpses and shows you public officials making speeches at the great gay pride event, so that you don't see the debauchery that is a gay pride parade, right? So that's part of the desensitizing. Second step is jamming. Now, what jamming does is jamming takes images that you abhor, skinheads, Nazis, KKK, and they equate being anti-homosexual with being those things. So that every time you think about this biblical idea, these things that we've heard, there's something in you that goes, you want to defend yourself. That's why when preachers preach on homosexuality today, you get like 10 minutes of apology beforehand, right? Can you imagine a preacher going, now listen, before I preach this message on pedophilia, just know God loves pedophiles. I have friends who are pedophiles. But that's what we do when we preach on homosexuality, because of jamming. And then the third phase is conversion. Conversion is not making people themselves, LGBTQAI2S plus, whatever. Conversion is about turning people into allies. By the way, the A, LGBTQIA, that's for allies, right? Conversion is about turning people into allies so that they go to war on your behalf on this. And that's the strategy that has been carried out incredibly effectively and successfully. So much so that now the desensitizing has really turned the corner to now it's coercion. It's not you get used to seeing the images. Now it's you've been so converted that if a hockey player says, I'm not wearing the rainbow gear, did y'all hear this just a couple of days ago, right? I'm not wearing the rainbow gear. Then people in the news media are saying the NHL's got to do something. They need to find this team. They need to do something. So just know that our thinking on this has been co-opted, that it continues to be co-opted, and that's why exercises like this one are incredibly important. Put another sin in that category, think about how you would respond, and then ask yourself, what has happened to you and your Christian sensibilities so that you have to have an exercise like that in order to think rightly about this particular sin.
Are there more components to the cultural mandate in addition to work? Bodhi, you pretty well established that the cultural mandate is still in effect. Are there more components to that cultural mandate?
Yeah, so remember, I talked about pursuing truth, beauty, and goodness. It's not just our work, but it's taking pleasure in beauty, in things like art and music and literature and these sorts of things. It is expressing that God-given desire for truth, beauty, and goodness through all the things that we do. One of the things I brought up was parenting, right? And we'll talk about that some in my message today, but the whole idea, it's be fruitful and multiply, right? And then exercise this dominion. The only way that mandate was going to be carried out is through the fruitfulness, right? And so fruitfulness is not just about having children. It's about having children and raising children and training children with a view toward them continuing in this. So it is our work, but it's our work in the sense that it's everything that our hands find to do.
Yeah, you teach at a liberal arts